I can tell you a little secret that I've learned from people, is that the more I screw up, the more people like it. Like the more human I am on camera, the more
Genuine.
mistakes I make, yeah, the more genuine it is, and the more people see me as a real person as opposed to just somebody that's trying to put out content in a certain way, you know? And that's where I think people can connect at a deeper level.
And that's why I got started, right? Because I was coming in and then I actually did watch your video on how to bridge over using Spooky Swap, how to do LP tokens. I knew nothing about that. And that's what got me into this space. So the next thing I wondered was, would anybody really want to watch a YouTube video about a guy talking about crypto when he himself doesn't really know that much? He's not the expert. I said, I don't care. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it, because even if you put in 20 hours researching a project and you're able to give a quick summary, even if it's 80% correct, 80%, but it helps somebody save time, you're providing value. And that's
Absolutely.
just one aspect. Now, whether it's getting on camera, you don't feel comfortable, maybe it's writing up a Twitter thread, maybe it's writing documentation. There's so many different aspects, to your point, that people can contribute in this innovative new growing space that give it a try.
And dude, honestly, like from my perspective, like the new class of content guys that are coming up are like so much better at this than I am. And like most of the videos that I did, I literally learned about it 20 minutes before I shot the video. Like honestly, that's about, like, I do zero prep for anything. Like we pick out topics for Unchained. I don't know what they are until 30 minutes before we go on. Like there's zero prep that happens for the most part with most of this stuff. And I found that that's the best, at least in my experience, that's the way I function the best. It's just give me something, let me do my best with it. Hopefully it works out, you know? But like it's not a huge time suck to learn about a really, really specific topic and then share about it. Right. And people love that. There's also drawbacks to in the public eye. Like,
but as long as you have fun with it, I think that's the big point. Somebody on Twitter actually tweeted at me, he's like, I'm the enjoyer. Just enjoys everything. If okay, that's gonna sound horrible, knock on wood, but it's
I love it, dude.
Let's say a project gets exploited. You're like, well, I kind of feel good for the exploiter because they found a way. Like, okay, congrats. It's just like, it goes up or it goes down. You're like, hey, I'm learning, I'm having fun. You just enjoy the ride. But that is my mindset that I have. And I don't care about token price. I just want to have fun. I want to connect and I want to learn. And that's it. And then the rest will fix itself. It'll pan out. So
it's so tempting for people, especially in this industry, to be glued to charts. I do it too. And to feel up on up days and down on down days. But if you talk to anyone, like I'm in the class of 2017, which there's a lot of us that came into crypto in that year.
Okay.
If you talk to almost anyone who's still here from the class of 2017 who didn't blow up their account, right? Most of them are financially okay at this point, right? Because they just stuck around. If they stuck around, they didn't invest in shit and they just held on. Like that's the deal. So like if you that's the reason I just stick to my blue chips. I don't really venture out. I'm just gonna hang on to them. My time frame is wide, and I'll bet you 2-3 years from now we're doing okay. And if the markets go up or the markets go down, whatever, they're going to come back up again. It's all cyclical. And I don't I don't need to go pop Xanax on down days or jump off of the Grand Canyon on up days. Like it's just smooth it out a little bit. But I know it's very tempting for new people to be like, and I know this because I actually manage my in-laws account. I don't manage it. They just own some Fantom and I put it into various things to earn them a little bit of yield, and they're like when it got down to I think 25 cents last year, like I had to talk them out of selling. Like, hold on. No, this is not the time you want to sell. This is the time you want to accumulate, man.
You got any extra funds? Let's go more. What?
Sell your house, dude. So like I didn't say that, but like so it's a big mind game, and the difference between the people that win and the people that lose is all between your ears. It is 100% between your ears. Do you have the patience to stick it out? Like, can you? And the thought that I see trap more people than anything else is, if I had sold here, I'd have this much here. Assuming you can be a top catcher or a bottom catcher. And that's the thought that kills more people, is the I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Because when it comes around the next time, what's going to happen is you're going to coulda, woulda, shoulda your portfolio down to nothing, because you're gonna miss the run that you've been holding out for a year, or you're going to buy into something that's going to tank, and then you're going to sell the bottom because you're emotionally invested, right? Like that's what I've noticed. So just hang on, step back, expand your time frame, and anyone that sticks around for a while that invests in good projects will make it.
Yeah.
And
And I think there's a lot of great information that you just shared there for anybody that is kind of like a newbie to this space looking to get into more intermediate and expert. It's number one is understand your time preference. If you think that crypto is going to be here for a while, that's an asset, that's a huge thing. So know your time preference. If you only got 1 month to trade, make the most out of the month. If you think that crypto's around here for a long time and you got a year, 2 years, then take a look at the projects that you think are really going to take care of you. Similar to a relationship, right? You know, if somebody's going to take care of you really well in that relationship, like, okay, yeah, we're going to have minor struggles here, there, but overall, you can trust the foundation, which to your point that you were saying is the foundation is being built. So look at the ones that are really doing that. Also, one thing that was kind of mentioned, but I don't think you really hit it directly head on, was the importance of time. Because people say, oh, yeah, time is money, education. Okay. But if you're constantly focusing on charts and using all your brain power, chart go up,
mm-hmm.
you can't make it go up. It's like trying to fight an ocean. You can't. Don't try.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is you can research, you can learn, you can build something, anything, or maybe farm more fiat if you want to. There's so many other opportunities out there, but utilize your time to say, how can I make the most out of this?
Mm-hmm. And you know, I mean, this might sound weird to some people, but like, might I suggest figuring out a way to feel wealthy before you become wealthy in your life? Like, if you can
Mm.
find areas of your life that you are wealthy in that would trigger that I am secure in this area feeling within you, I can pretty much guarantee you, you will start to attract the opportunities to you that will put you in the position to be that way. That's just been my
Mhm.
experience. And there's countless books that reference that as well. What it ties into is assume the feeling that you're searching for. Like, everyone wants their future to be a certain way, really, because they believe it'll make them feel good, right? I mean, why do you want to be financially secure? Because it makes you feel good inside. Why do you want to provide for
Mhm.
your kids? It makes you feel good, right? So if you, in my experience, now I'm kind of getting it off topic here, but like, in my experience, if you can find a way of assuming that feeling and finding your focus on that feeling in your life before it comes, you'll accelerate it showing up quicker.
So, oh, that ties in with the book. Was it The Alchemist? In a sense, where okay, this is gonna be a spoiler in case you ever read the book, but the main concept is the guy goes on a crazy adventure, so much unbelievable, just to find out that he had everything that he needed right back at home. Type of
Nice.
concept. People are always chasing after something, but they don't know what to do once they actually get it. I like that one reference from the Joker where it's like a dog chasing after a car tire, but once it gets the car tire, it wouldn't know what to do with it once it
Mhm.
finally got it. And then there was another reference to how a lot of wealthy people think. I think it's Dan Penne, and he brought out the idea like if you want that car, that Lambo, actually go to the dealership, sit in the car, feel it, experience it, have it right there in front of you. You want like that happy relationship that you always want, put out that happiness, just be happy and envision it. And
Mhm.
that probably goes more into the manifestations, et cetera, which
It's 100% what that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is
the
exactly what I'm talking
manifestation.
about. You know, that's been my
Interesting.
experience in life. That's the same way that Fantom was introduced to me. That's all of this has been that.
Wow.
There's nowhere else I could really put credit.
So you're just giving the secret sauce right there, and people are gonna be like, yeah, 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 but I think this tomb fork is the way for me to get ultra wealthy.
Well, it doesn't. None of that really matters. Like, you could look back on my experience and you could go, here's a series of coincidences, right? Or you could look back on my experience and go, here's a series of holy shit moments. It's really just the way that you look at them, right? But to me, I started assuming that feeling early on, and things started changing for me, right? And it's like people that start a business. If you assume your own success, right? And that drives you towards that success, you're probably going to find it a lot better than somebody who assumes the opposite or thinks everyone's out to get them. You know, we make our own experience in this world. Like what if I think the sky is green, you can tell me it's blue all day, but I'm always going to believe that that's green, you know, because that's my experience. So that's all I'm really driving at there is like, I know that's a little bit off topic, but that's
No, but
something
that
I'm passionate about, you know.
but I think that is a key part though, because too oftentimes people say, "What's your secret?" You know, like, "Oh, you just got lucky. Oh, you got on the right project. Oh, you know the right people." But I think what you're doing is you're exposing your mindset that goes extremely neglected in the crypto aspect. Is yes, it's nice to have the tokens and the yields and the money, etc. But there's more to it. There's the social aspect, the connections. There's the mindset of success, and you can go where you want to go. You can create and build and help people. So ultimately, it comes down to what you want. You know, what type of life do you want to live, and what steps can you take to help yourself and other people get there? That's the main takeaway I got from that.
Yeah, man. And dude, I have like I mention this all the time, but I have 3 kids. I have a 2, 8, and 11-year-old, right?
Oh, wow, you got
My
the whole spectrum there, eh?
Yeah, yeah, and my house is nuts after 4 p.m. Like, dude, it is absolutely insane. And and there was a time, like I'll share some personal stuff with you. There was a time when I
Yeah.
like struggled with being a father. Like I was like, man, this is, you know, all I want to do is go try and be successful over here. This is so tough for me. I didn't feel like I was a very good father, you know.
Mm,
And the way that I got beyond that was I started looking for the little wins. I started assuming the feeling of what would it be like to be a good father. And I started looking for the ways that my daughter was happy here and my son was happy here. And it's kind of like that going to the gym analogy. I can do it because it makes me feel good today. Like those
mm,
little wins were the thing to propel me through. And now I'm having the experience of being a really good father and I enjoy all of that. But it took me a while to get to that, you know? But all of that ties back into it's all mindset. The only struggle is what's going on between my ears right now. Like when I 3 years ago, I was my wife and I and we only had 2 kids then. Were renting and I couldn't pay rent. Like that's how poor we were. Like we were super super duper poor. And I yeah, like this was pre-Phantom.
yeah.
And you know that changed. Like and it changed in a big way. And but it was the times when I was like super super poor when I was like sitting on the couch trying to get to the feeling of what it would feel like if I wasn't, you know? Like, how do I access that feeling when everything in my experience is telling me that I am financially wrecked? And I did that for a year straight. Now, I
Right.
can't, now you could look at that and go, it's a big coincidence. I could look at that and go, I put in the work and things changed, you know?
Mhm. But I I didn't expect it to go into mindset conversation, but this is one aspect that I absolutely love because I can tie that to, let's say, Steve Harvey, right? So he gave one of his talks and he said, I'm noticing a pattern that everybody has that point where you got to take that leap. You just got to take that leap and hope that, you know, you land on the other side. And I'm sure we've all seen the Batman movie where you're in the well and you try to jump, right? But the reason you can't make it over is because you got that rope. You know, you're still tied to it. But once you learn to jump without the rope, like there's no second chances. You do or die essentially, and you gotta trust that you can make it through. That is the people that tend to succeed. And but similar to your story, there's always like a rock bottom where your trust was really tested at that point. You really had to believe. But now anything that happens up here, it's like doesn't matter because I've already been at rock bottom and I know I can
Mhm.
get out of it.
Exactly. Exactly. And it wasn't even so much that it was rock bottom, it was that I had an adverse relationship to money. I I was of that old belief that, you know, money being the root of all evil. Like I had had a lot of success prior and lost it. And I became kind of like I'll share some more personal stuff. So
Mhm.
towards the end of that first bit of success, like I kind of became like an asshole and I had to like refine myself, you know? And I started to attribute my behavior, I started to blame the money. Like, oh, I became that way because the finances, and that was just a
Oh,
cop out. So I essentially created my own poverty for a little while, and I had to get into the mindset of, wow, I really love money. Like money is flowing to me. Like I had to change my mindset because I was actively pushing it away from myself, and it didn't happen until later. But it took me going through that, and my poor wife was like, "I love you, honey, but this has got to change." Like we can't keep doing this shit. So
For sure. So if somebody's in the audience right now listening, that I'm kind of in, I got that mindset. I can kind of hear, oh, I need to change. What would you say is the best way to change it? Because it's easy to say like, okay, I had an adverse relationship to money. I decided to change it. Boom, done. That's it. But obviously it's not that easy. Like what would be some steps you would suggest to say, okay, this could be a helpful way how to progress out of that?
So I would use, and I still do some days, although it's kind of dropped off. YouTube has been a big resource for me. Like I would start my morning listening to uh, various authors like Wayne Dyer or Eckhart Tolle, or various people that would talk about concepts that were a little bit out of the normal experience. But I would start 10 or 20 minutes of my day doing that. And kind of what I've found is that if I start my day in that direction, the rest of my day kind of goes in that direction too. And if I start my day glued to my email, or, oh my God, I have to handle this problem or that problem, that's kind of also the way the rest of my day is going to go, And that's been hugely helpful in my life, especially early on. But like educating myself on, okay, these are people that have come before me that say, hey, there's a way to tap into unlimited wealth on this universe. How do I do that? Right. And these are the ways that they're saying to do that. So I'm going to give it a shot, and I don't know how it's worked out for other people, but it's worked out well for me.
Can relate for the fact of, let's say you wake up late in the morning, you snooze and you're like, oh shoot, I gotta sacrifice breakfast or a shower, right? Does it ever stop there, or does that bleed out into the entire day where you're rushing to catch up, as opposed to people say early bird gets the worm, wake up at 5 a.m., be chill, and then the whole day is chill? I think that there's a lot to that from what you just mentioned, but that's just like one aspect. There's so many other things that you touched on, such as the compound effect, right? Going to the gym every single day. It's a struggle at the beginning, probably for the first 2 weeks, but then you have a little bit of results, and that little bit gives you a flywheel effect where you're just like, well, if I already put in an hour, or I put in 2 weeks and I'm already feeling this, what if I put in more time and stay consistent? And then it just builds upon itself. So as opposed to saying, okay, I have to go from 30 pounds to, whatever, you just say, okay, I got 1 pound, 2 pound. Oh, hey, I'm in the car. My seatbelt actually feels better. It doesn't cut into my throat. Okay, that's kind of a plus. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Being consistent, there's a lot to be said for that.
All right, guys. So we're going to wrap up here. But if you really enjoyed this conversation, I highly, highly, highly recommend following Fantom Community Alerts here. Check out their Twitter, man. Every Thursday, they got Fantom Unchained. You got a lot of great resources, so much educational content. And of course, check him out on YouTube. He's got so many videos out here. And this is just for the Unchained, not to mention the different AMAs. And Austin, are there any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave the audience with?
No, that's it, man. Dude, Mark, thank you so much for having me on, buddy. I love like what you're doing. I love the effort that you're putting into it. I want to help you to get some more eyes on you like any way that I can. And yeah, thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about myself. I don't get to do that very often, man. We got a little deeper on this one than I think I've ever gone on any of the other ones, and I like it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I love it. And thanks for coming on, because yeah, absolutely. I don't think that you necessarily had the time or the platform to really dive in deep into certain topics. And I hope that the audience feels the ability to connect with you more and see like the other side, as opposed to just the interviewer. Now you get to be the interviewee. So man, great experience. So, all right, hope to do more, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Pieces.